Everything is now ready to build the walls. At least first level of the timber should be treated with some kind of protective coat, since this level will bear the entire weight of the future structure, provide contact with the metal of the foundation, and be exposed to the most difficult conditions: dampness from the ground, freezing, wood-eating insects. In our case, even partial processing with bitumen, ferrous with the beginning of the decomposition process, will help in preserving all wood. In order to ensure a tight fit of the timber to the metal, it is enough to lay a layer of organic gasket between them. The house we took apart had straw for this purpose. And it's good that we thought not to throw it away. It was very useful for us for plugging cracks and holes. Due to the fact that some of the pieces of our puzzle were completely unusable, a long and painstaking process of finding a replacement began for us. In part, the matter was further complicated by the fact that we changed the location of the door to the other side. For this, it was necessary to assemble the original structure head downwards. And this was problematic due to the fact that the thickness of the timber was not consistent, but became thinner with each subsequent level. At the very bottom, the timber was 20 centimeters wide, and at the top 10. Its height also differed. Therefore, it was necessary to simply take a timber of a suitable thickness and independently cut new logs into it, which, by the way, went staggered, hammering the last nail into the coffin lid. To compensate here and there the resultant difference in height, it was necessary to add boards of various categories. Thank goodness we had metal pins piercing this puff cake and tying the whole mess together. And in addition to them, I used staples in those places where it was not possible to cut new logs. In one of the walls was cut a window, which was not part of our plans, so I filled in the holes with suitable segments. In order to continue working even in the rain and not hide tools every time, I built a temporary roof with film. But to prevent it from being blown away by a gust of wind, all the openings had to be buttoned down with metal sheets. Now you can see why I covered up the window that was in the center of this wall. In its place, I planned to make a wall separating the steam room from the restroom, and I wanted to make it partly from brick to provide good thermal insulation for the hot part of the furnace. So that the future brick wall would stand straight and not collapse, even if it cracked from the heat, I made for it a metal frame. Between the metal and the wood, I placed a tall pad under the film, creating a waterproof cushion that ensures tight contact. Position and weld metal guides you can also use in a laser level. Of course it can be done without windows in the steam room and the washer room. They are an extra breach of cold and weaken the walls, but they're more pleasant with windows, right? In the washer room I cut a narrow long window so that naked people were not visible from the outside. And in the steam room I made a very small double glazed window, mainly so that you can ventilate the room, but also catch the last ray of the setting sun. When metal guides are installed, you need to prepare everything for laying bricks. Cut several bricks into halves to insert them along the edges of the walls. Sift the sand for mortar. This time the concrete solution will be slightly different from what we used in the foundation. This time, instead of the gravel, it will contain clay. And there will be more cement. Plus you need to add the secret ingredient, liquid glass. All this is necessary so that the solution is resistant to high temperatures and not crack. Around the firebox I even used a special yellow brick with high heat resistance made of chamois sand. It is used in metal smelting industries. Then there is only the door frame and a piece of the wall, which I take the opportunity also attach to the metal frame. At the moment when the last level of the timber, which performs the function of the mile or lot, is finally in place, you can begin to build on its basis the roof of the veranda and the house itself. For the veranda, it was no longer necessary to make such capital walls. A lead frame was enough. For this purpose we obtained metal pieces of a dismantled traded tin. They only had to be slightly processed, cut off excess pieces, made the joints for easy welding, and welded everything together. Boards are attached to the metal skeleton across. From above, everything is covered with a film, as an additional protection against roof leaks. And with the help of roofing screws, attach the sheets of galvanized iron. Roofing screws differ from ordinary ones in that their tip is made in the form of a drill for metal, and the head, in addition to the washer, has a rubber seal ring, thus excluding the possibility of water flowing into the holes. To make the ceiling, it is not necessary to lay boards from edge to edge for the log house. If you put a thick beam in the middle with slats stuffed on it, you can put shorter boards on it, so the ceiling will be much stronger. I fasten the boards with screws, although this is not necessary. I leave free only a couple of boards near the wall. I plan to make there a hatch to climb to the attic from the inside. In the same way we make the ceiling in the rest of the rooms, with only one nuisance. In the steam room it is better to make the ceiling lower, in order to reduce the volume and amount of firewood used to heat the room. To erect a gable roof over the main house, you need to prepare in advance all the components of the rafter system. Rafters with slotted logs, crossbars, metal corners for attaching rafters to the marlette, boards for the lathing. Constructing this on such small scale is pure pleasure. The lathing can be made from any kind of boards, thin, ugly. The main thing is that they are about the same thickness, and a square meter of such coating can roughly withstand the weight of the person crawling on them, and then they will cope with snow load in winter. As an additional waterproofing layer between the boards and the roofing metal, we decided to use roofing felt. This is cardboard covered with refractory bitumen and sprinkled on top with asbestos and talcum powder. Even this alone is enough to make a roof. You just need to nail it with the wooden or metal strips, but it breaks very easily. Previously people actively used it, but now they prefer profiled metal sheets. Although they are more expensive than roofing material, they have no competition in terms of ease of installation and durability, and you can choose any color. Our galvanized metal sheets with homemade locks along the edges, which we took from the old house, are their ancestors. When the roof is covered, it is as if a stone falls from the heart. You no longer need to rush, nothing will get wet. Now we can calmly do small things. For now, window frames with one glass will be enough to protect from wind and sleet and rain, but in cold weather it will be necessary to get another layer. Thick floorboards are placed on slats that are nailed along the walls or screwed to the metal structure. Such a floor even withstand a horse playing the piano. We even started to prematurely bring in the furniture so that there was something to sit on and enjoy the contemplation of the fruits of our labor. Remember the barrel buried into the ground? In order for the water to drain from the washer room, you need to make drainage. I came up with this system under the floor, made from the same metal roofing sheets. People will walk barefoot on the floor in the washer and steam room, so the boards need to be properly sanded and saturated with a compound that prevents wood from rotting, from constant exposure to a humid environment. To prevent snow from flying under the roof, the sides need to be covered with something, for example OSB. They are lightweight and cheap, and if painted with a couple layers of paint, they will last for many years, even without facing. All joints in the wooden structure of the building are carefully formed. During the heating of the furnace, the pipe will be very hot, so you need to properly protect the ceiling from burning in the places where it passes through it. For this purpose I made a metal box which will go around the pipe, replacing part of the ceiling and filled to the top with keramzit, or expanded clay. Expanded clay is a lightweight porous gravel made by firing clay in a rotary kiln. It is used as a filler when mixing concrete. It very poorly transfers heat, which is very good for our purpose. Having measured the place where the pipe will come out through the roof, I cut a hole in the sheets. We insert the pipe through the top and weld it to the oven. Then we screw the box into place and filled it with expanded clay. We wrapped the part of the pipe passing through the attic with asbestos cloth, so that the heat from it would not set fire to wooden floors or to the things accidentally left nearby. This is the main cause of fires. We will insulate the ceiling with glass wool, so that its fibers do not fall on our heads and the wool does not absorb the steam. The fabric is laid between it and the ceiling boards. It is imperative to work with glass wool with gloves, otherwise it will prick your hands. Believe me, you don't want glass splinters.
From the inside, the walls and ceiling of the steam room must be covered with aluminum foil. There should be space for ventilation between the foil and the wood of the walls, so that the wood does not rot. So the foil is attached to wooden slats. All joints in the foil are sealed with metal tape, creating a vapor-tight coating that remains all the heat emitted by the oven inside the room. And in order not to accidentally tear the foil and give the steam room a more comfortable look, a wooden lining is nailed on top, covered on all sides with a non-toxic impregnation designed to preserve wood in rooms with a high humidity.
To put our building into operation, all that remains is to put in place doors to the steam room and the main one, clean up a little and light the first fire. For the first time it was a trial run, just to check if nothing is burning anywhere, if there's a good draft in the chimney or the smoke will go into the room. Everything was okay. I looked how the living fire was burning in the heart of my, albeit unsightly but still creation. The air around me began to warm, and the darkness and immensity of nature remained outside my cozy cocoon, and a smile involuntarily began to creep over my face. See you, my friends. There are still a lot of different unfinished business in the construction, but I think now they can wait a little.